Have you ever heard a story that sounds almost too incredible to be true? Today, we're going to dive into one of those. We're talking about a man who built a massive cybersecurity empire without a college degree, starting from a tiny little repair shop. This is the remarkable story of Kailash Katkar, the founder of QuickHeal. So right off the bat, you have to ask, how does something like that even happen? I mean, a school dropout building a billion-dollar empire from a room that's basically the size of a small bedroom? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? Well, this story is just an amazing example of how pure ingenuity and sheer grit can overcome pretty much any obstacle you can think of. And the scale of this journey, it's just staggering. We're not just talking about a successful local business. We are talking about a leap from a tiny local repair shop all the way to being listed on the global stock market. So let's get into it. How on earth did he pull it off? Okay, so every great story has a beginning, right? And Kailash Katkar's is about as unlikely as they come. He was literally forging his own path, with no formal training, no safety net, and absolutely no map to follow. So this is where it all kicks off. He was born into a family with very limited means in a small village, and because of financial hardship, he had to leave school right after the 10th grade. But here's the thing, he didn't see that as a dead end, not at all. Instead, he started learning practical, hands-on skills, repairing things like radios and calculators. And that real-world experience, it turned out to be absolutely crucial, leading him to open his own tiny repair shop in 1990. That was the very first step. And this right here is where the story takes a massive turn. You know, they say every great entrepreneur spots an opportunity where other people just see a problem. And for Katkar, that opportunity came disguised as a full-blown crisis. You have to picture the early 90s in India. The personal computer revolution was just getting started, and along with it came this brand new invisible enemy, the computer virus. People were completely baffled. There were hardly any local solutions, and the customers at his repair shop were constantly coming in with this problem. This wasn't just a technical glitch, it was a huge business opportunity just waiting for someone to grab it. And you have to understand, the first version of QuickHeal wasn't some big fancy corporate project. It was a totally practical tool. Kailash's brother, Sanjay, who was a computer engineer, just wrote a simple program to fix their own customers' computers. That's it. It was born directly from a need they were seeing every single day in their shop. But you know, having a good idea is one thing. Turning it into a real, breathing business, well, that's a whole different battle. The early days were anything but easy. I mean, they were this tiny local player trying to survive against global giants. And on top of that, the constant threat of financial collapse. Let's talk about the year 1999. This was the year it all almost fell apart. The company was facing a severe financial crisis. It was so bad, they were struggling just to pay their employees' salaries. This was a true make-or-break moment that could have ended the entire dream right there. But in that make-or-break moment, his mindset made all the difference. Looking back on it, Katkar doesn't see that time as a failure. He sees it as his greatest education. He actually says, hardship is the best teacher. It was that resilience, that ability to learn when you're on the absolute brink of failure, that allowed them to pull through. So how did they do it? How did they pull through? Well, they were up against these huge international brands, so they knew they couldn't win on name recognition. Their whole strategy was to out-hustle them by being closer to their customers. They focused relentlessly, and I mean relentlessly, on building trust through exceptional personal service, proving that their local unknown product was just as good, but with support you could actually talk to. It was that customer focus combined with just sheer perseverance that got them through the crisis. So after surviving that storm, the company didn't just recover, it started to thrive. This is the part of the story where a small local brand begins its transformation into a global force in cybersecurity. And then the acceleration was just incredible. In 2002, they opened their very first branch outside of their home city. Just 5 years after that, their growth attracted a major global investor, Sequoia Capital, which is a huge deal. And then the ultimate milestone came in 2016 when QuickHeal went public with a successful IPO. A really key part of their growth was this super smart two-brand strategy. See, they kept the QuickHeal brand to serve their original base, individual users and small businesses. But then they launched SeekRight to provide high-end, heavy-duty security for big corporations and government clients. This way, they basically captured both ends of the market. Really clever. And just look at where that strategy has taken them today. Quick Heal is now an absolute powerhouse. We're talking operations in over 80 countries with more than 1,000 employees. It's a leader in its field, and the legacy is continuing, with Kailash's chairman and his son, Kaustob, helping lead the company into the future. So, beyond all the business success, what can we really learn from this incredible journey? Because this is about more than just software. It's about the philosophy that drove a completely self-made titan. And this, for me, is maybe his most powerful message. As someone who had to leave school, he is the living proof that a formal degree is not the only route to success. His story screams that determination and a real commitment to continuous learning, those are the real keys. So when you boil it all down, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, his story is a powerful reminder that where you start in life doesn't have to define where you end up. It teaches us to look for opportunities hidden inside common everyday problems, and it proves, without a doubt, that building trust and simply refusing to give up can be more valuable than any fancy degree. And that brings us to our final thought. Kailash Katkar saw a problem that everyone was complaining about, computer viruses, and he built an entire empire by solving it. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What overlooked problem, maybe in your own world, could be your greatest opportunity?